Now, a spreadsheet is a computer program that can capture, display, and manipulate data arranged in row and column manner. So spreadsheets are one of the most popular tools available with the personal computers. Some commonly used spreadsheet software programs today are Microsoft Excel, Google Sheet, Think Free Office, Lotus 123, etc. So, prominent among these, Microsoft Excel is a part of Microsoft Office suite and it is available for Windows, Mac OS, Android, and iOS. So, once again, I'm welcoming each one of you to this wonderful session on Excel. Uh, we at Uni Athena offers online free short courses and academic courses in affordable and flexible manner. We also offer diploma courses, master and doctorate courses with proud partnership with more than 10 universities like UCAM, GMU, Aberte, etc. And also we have professional qualification authorities with us. So for more details about the master, microcredit courses, MBA courses, and doctorate courses, and also about the short courses, you may visit our website www.uniathena.com. Without further delay, let's get into the session. I'm Shanti Iyer, Senior Academic Associate at Uni Athena, welcoming you all once again for today's webinar on MS Excel Essential, a masterclass. Today's panelist, Mr. Nitin Kurian, is our program manager at Uni Athena. He is an innovator, a design thinker with an experience in program management, academic deliveries, and also he has experience with corporate organizations. Over and above, he is a wonderful person to work with. So it is an honor to me to welcome Mr. Nitin to this session. I request all the participants to stay with us till the end of the session. During the session, we also have practical Excel techniques that will be taught. So you all will be getting a participation certificate, those who are with us till the end of the session. So thank you all for joining in once again. Over to you, Nitin. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this session on MS Excel, masterclass on MS Excel. Nitin here, program manager here at Uni Athena. I hope we have a great 1 hour and we learn a little bit about MS Excel and how we can operate and do some data analytics and data visualization in MS Excel. So without further ado, I'm going to be starting the session. The session is going to be a very hands-on sort of session where we will be doing all of the activities live on the Excel spreadsheet. So if you guys do have access to an Excel spreadsheet, you guys can keep it open and do the exercises that we will be doing live here on this session. Okay. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them on the chat box. We'll definitely try and take as many questions as possible as time permits once the session is completed. So at any point in time, for any of the topics, if you guys have any doubts, do reach out and put that in the chat section or the comment section, and we will definitely try and address those towards the end.
Nitin,
Right.
before you begin, there is a suggestion coming. Can you little bit louder? So a few messages were scrolling up.
Sure. I hope I'm audible now, and I'll try to keep this voice. But if at all you guys are not able to hear me, please feel free to again, reach out and let me know. I'll try to be more audible. All right. Without further ado, let's start. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen and we will start with our session. Here, as you can see, I have the Excel sheet open here in front of me. Okay, this is the Excel spreadsheet application that you guys can all see in front of your screen right now. The session today is divided into 3 segments. The first segment is where we will look at how we can perform some fundamental operations in the Excel workbook, understand what are these functions, the various functions that are available in the Excel, and how we can use that, and what is the functionality of each of these elements in the Excel application. Then we will also see how we can enter and edit data in MS Excel. What is the procedure for entering and editing data in MS Excel? And we'll also see how you can format the data, especially text data and numeric data, how we can go about formatting the data in Excel. And we'll also see a little bit about what is called as fill and series in MS Excel, and how that can be beneficial as you're working with huge amounts of data. Okay, so that becomes our foundational level of understanding the Excel application and how basic Excel operations can be done. Then we will move on to the second segment, where we will focus more on the formatting aspects as well as the data analytics aspects, which will include basic Excel formulas, the functions, specifically the if function, text-based functions, alignments, themes, and styles. So this segment is where we will be looking at formatting and also the basic aspects of data analysis. Okay. And in the last segment, we will look at the advanced aspects, a little bit of advanced aspects of data analysis, where we will be looking at filtering and sorting of the data that we have in Excel, and what is called conditional formatting. And we will also look at tables and charts, which is again very useful in terms of analyzing as well as visualizing the data that we have in Excel. Okay, so this is what we are going to be covering in this 1 hour session. It's going to be a very packed session. We'll have to cover a lot of ground. So keep pace, and if at all, like I said, if at all you guys have any doubts while we are doing while we are going through the topics in this session, please take a note of it and drop a message in our chat box, and we'll try and address that towards the end. Okay. All right. So starting with the Excel application itself, this is what you can see on the screen is the MS Excel application. And the Excel application is basically divided into these 2 segments that you can see here. This is the ribbon, the green section that you can see here, and this tables or row and column section that you see here is where you will be entering all the data that you will be storing in Excel. Okay, so these individual elements of Excel are called cells. Okay, and this becomes the what is called the ribbon of MS Excel. Okay, now we have to start with what is called the ribbon in MS Excel. The first thing that you have to understand in the ribbon is that the ribbon has all these functionalities or segments. The first one is called the file, and the file helps you to create a new workbook, save the work in your workbook, and export or share any of the work that you have in your workbook, and so on. Okay. Then we have the home segment. The home is one of the most important elements of MS Excel, because all the major actions that you will be doing with your data in MS Excel will be using this home tab. Okay. After that, we have what's called the insert tab. The insert tab is the tab that allows you to insert various elements into Excel, including tables, pivot tables, any kind of pictures, charts. Again, we will be looking at charts and tables in detail in our subsequent sections. Then also allows you to include any kind of text, headers and footers, etc. All of that is possible through the insert tab. Okay. Then we come to the page layout tab. The page layout tab allows you to organize the layout of Excel. Okay, how the data should be visually presented to you, what should be the font and the theme in which the data must be presented to you. Should there be any margins? What should be the orientation? And what would be the height, width, and scale at which the data is being viewed? All of that will be determined using the page layout. Like the name suggests, page layout is basically the tab that allows you to fix the layout of your Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Then we have the section on formulas. We will again come into all of these sections in detail once we are going through the topics. Formula is again a functionality where you can ask Excel to do a certain kind of operation for you without having to manually type in the formula. You can actually call a particular formula or function and have Excel automatically do that operation or function for you. So we have formulas related to we have formulas related to finance. We have some logical formulas. Say, for example, if some conditions are met, then what should Excel do? If they are not met, then what should Excel do? So there are some logical formulas. We have some text-based formulas. So like you can see here, the data, what you can see here is text-based data, right? So if you want to perform any action on the text-based data, then you have some formulas on that. We also have some formulas related to dates and time. So if your data that you're maintaining in Excel has some data related to date and time, how do you manipulate it, or how do you organize it in a way that's suitable for you? So we have some formulas for that. And we also have some formulas related to lookup and reference, which are a little bit on the advanced level. Okay, so all the formulas that you want to access are available here. And obviously in our second segment, we will look at this in more detail. Okay. Then we have the segment or the tab on data. This is the segment that really allows you to do a lot of data analysis. Okay, starting from filtering, sorting, removing any kind of duplicates, validating the data. Okay, and also maybe creating some forecasts and so on, and even doing some data modeling, which are all more advanced aspects of data analysis. Okay, so that's data. And finally, we have the review section where you can review some of the data that is available here and so on. And the remaining tabs are not that important. For our discussion, these are the most important elements. Okay, so that's a little bit about the ribbon that we have, and the quick access toolbar and the status bar is what you see here at the very bottom, where they mention the sheets, and you can also see that there is a space for you to increase or decrease the zoom of your Excel spreadsheet, and also the page layout. Okay, all of that can be controlled using the status bar. Okay, so this is what you see on the bottom of the screen is the status bar. You can move left and right, and you have the individual spreadsheets in this Excel workbook, as well as the option for choosing the page layout and the zoom. All of that is available in the status bar. Okay. Now let's get into the second segment where we will be looking at how you can enter any kind of data and edit data in Excel. Okay, so the way data is entered is you have to first highlight a particular cell. Okay, and then you can enter either a text-based or a numeric data into that cell. And the way you identify a particular cell is by what you can see on the top and what you can see on the left. Okay, so on top you can see that each of these elements are depicted using alphabets, and on the left you can see that each of these elements are depicted using numbers. Okay, so that is provided here so that we can uniquely identify a single cell in the Excel spreadsheet. So for example, the cell that I've selected right now has D and 4 associated with it. Okay. Now, what you call this is a column, and what you call this that I've highlighted here is a row, and what you call this that I've highlighted here is a column. Okay. So that's very important to understand, because now onwards, everything that we will be discussing will be in terms of rows and columns and in terms of identifying a particular cell by its name. Okay. So say, for example, the cell that I've highlighted right now, its name is D4. Okay, because it's of column D and row 4. Okay. Now, to enter any kind of data in D4, what you do is you just type in the data. It can be a numeric data or it can be a text-based data, as you can see here. Okay. Now let's do some basic operations on this data. Okay. What you see on the very top here is the quick access toolbar on top of the ribbon. Okay. This element that you see here, or tab that you see here, basically allows you to undo the latest operation that we have done right now on Excel. So as you can see, when I hover my cursor over the tab, you can see that it undoes typing 45 in D4. So when I click on it, as you can see, what we just wrote will become undone. Okay. And this tab does exactly the opposite. Whatever we undid can be redone by using the redo tab. Okay. So if I click on redo now, as you can see, what was undone will become redone. Okay. Now by default, you can see that the redo tab is not highlighted or not present, because it only becomes activated once we have pressed the undo tab. Only once you have undone something can you redo something, right? So if you redo something, then if you undo something, then you can definitely redo it. Okay, so that's the redo tab in the quick access toolbar, and this is of course the save tab. So if you're not working online, keep saving your work so that whatever changes or modifications that you've done on the Excel spreadsheet remains safe, if at all, the application crashes or something like that. Okay. So that's the quick access toolbar, and that's how you enter the data in Excel. Now, few other basic operations is available here on the home tab. The first basic operation is what's called cut. Okay. What cut does is that it transports the data that you've highlighted from one cell into a destination cell of your choice. Okay. Say, for example, I want to move the data that's right now here in D4 to, let's say, I6. Okay. I want this data available here. Okay. Instead of manually typing that data, what I can do is I can highlight the cell, then click on this cut option here. Then I go to the destination cell where I want the data to be pasted, and then click on paste. Okay. So as you can see, the data has now moved from D4 to I6. Okay. A shortcut for this is to use what's called Control+X in your keyboard. So if you click on click on Control and then followed by X, it performs the same action as when we click on this cut. Okay. And then if you go to the destination cell and then click on Control V, okay, then it will perform the same option as we did by clicking on the paste button that we had here. Okay. So Control X to cut and Control V to paste. Okay. Now you might be wondering, what's the big difficulty in writing 45 in I6? Okay. But the problem is that when you're actually working with data in Excel, you might not be working with just one, hundreds of entries, which you would want to move from one place to another. So manually typing that would become difficult, which is when all of these operations will become very useful for you. Okay. Next is what's called copy. Okay. And what copy basically allows you to do is, instead of moving it from one place and having it come in another cell, what copy does is, as the name suggests, make a copy of the data that we have in one cell in another cell. Say, for example, again, if I want a copy of 45, which is there in D4 in I6, I can come to, I can first select D4, click on copy, then come to I6 and then click on paste. Okay. So as you can see, the data has not moved from D4, but instead of copy was made in I6. Okay. Again, the shortcut for you here is, for cut we used Control X. For copy we will use Control C. Okay. So click on Control plus C and then you go to your destination cell, and then again paste function remains the same. So you give Control V. Okay. So now as you can see, a copy of 45 was made in I6. Okay. So that's a little bit about the basic operation of entering and some basic aspects of editing data in Excel. Okay. We also have some other functions which you might be more familiar with, especially if you've used other MS applications, like say, for example, Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office. So the format painter basically, as you can see in the description, formats a data in one cell similar to the data that you have used for formatting through another cell. Okay, to give you an example, if you have used a particular type of font size, bold, italics, and so on for this data, and you want the same to appear for, let's say, this data, then all you have to do is select this data, click on Format Painter, and then apply it on this data. Okay. So then whatever format this data was in, the same format will be applied on this data. Okay. So that's Format Painter. And then obviously you have the option to change the font, the size, the color, the cell color of this data using the font option that you have here. Okay. Say, for example, if I want to change the font color from black to, let's say, red, I can do that. Okay. Or if I want to highlight this entire cell, just like how I've done it here in yellow, if I want to highlight this entire cell with a particular color, I can do that as well. Okay. So all of that is possible. Now we have some other segments like alignment, number, and so on, which now we will look at. Okay. So the next part of what we will be seeing is how to format some dates and numbers that you have in MS Excel. Okay. So for that, let's move into an example data sheet that I have here. Okay. So this data sheet that I have here, as you can see, is the data, let's imagine, of an organization. It's the sales data of an organization. So it has a lot of sales people working in different geographies, selling different products at different amounts over different dates of a month and we also have the number of units of that particular product that was sold by this salesperson. Okay, so this is typically how you will be encountering data in MS Excel. So you will be having this data, a set of items or line items will be available. So each of this is what we call a line item. So the first entry is Ram, second is Brian, and so on. So each of these rows that you see here is a line item, and these are the columns. Okay, so this is a data of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, and it has almost, if I'm not wrong, around 250 entries. Okay, so that's how big this data is. So this 239 entries. Okay, so that's how big this data is. And obviously you will be working with even bigger data. Okay, there's a very high probability that you will be working with even bigger data. Okay, so what we were discussing is related to how to format numbers and date in MS Excel. Okay, so for that, let's take this example. Okay, so the units that you can see here, so all the entries under the units tab are going to be obviously numbers, right? So we have the first number of units as 114. Now, if you want to have a different format in which how this number appears, okay, you obviously have the option of changing the format in this number segment that you see here. Okay, so here in the number segment, you can choose what type of data you have in this particular column. Okay, is it a general format or a general data with no specific format? Is it a number? Is it a data that's of a number format? Is it a currency? As you can see, the amount column will have data of the currency format. And then we have date format, percentage, fraction, and so on. Okay, so these are typically the most important ones. Okay, so you can always select the format from here. As you can see, the moment I selected the number format, by default, the way in which the number is represented has changed. Okay. Now, one thing to understand here is that format doesn't change the basic element of the data. Okay. All that formatting does is that it only changes the appearance of the data. Okay. It only changes how you or me see that data visually in Excel. Okay. In fact, for all operations that you're going to be doing with that data, Excel considers the data to be the same. Okay, formatting is only how the data is visually represented. Okay, now let's see how you can, the different ways in which you can format this numeric data. Okay, so what you can have is you can click on, you can right click on a particular cell. Okay, and then click on this format cell option. Okay, and by default, the number tab will be selected here. Okay, and within the numbers category, we have several categories available here. Okay, you have, since now we have the data under the general category, we have the general available here, or you can select the number category. Okay, or the currency category, whatever category you want to select, you can select that. Okay, so in the general category, let's say we are going to change this into this particular format. Okay, into the number format. Now you have the option of choosing the number of decimals that you want to see here, and you can also see a sample of that data here. Okay, so say for example, in the number format, if you choose the number format, it will by default have 2 decimals, which you can increase or decrease by using the option available here. And for negative numbers also, they will show you how this data is being represented. Okay. So if you click on OK right now, you can see that the format of the data has changed. But like I told you, only the format has changed. If you look at the absolute value that's available in the formula bar, you can see that it is still 140. Okay. So that is how you change the format of a number. Okay, and let's say you want to apply that format for all the numbers, all the subsequent numbers in this data. What you can do is you can drag the data like this. Okay, and as you can see, once you immediately drag, 114 gets copied into all the cells, which is not what we want, right? So the moment you copy like that, you can see that a small drop autofill option appears. So we will be looking at fill and series in our subsequent lessons. But for now, you can see that the moment I copied all that data, this autofill option appears. What you need to do is from the drop down, you need to select fill formatting only from as the option, because by default the option is going to be copy cell, which is why when I copied, 114 got replaced in all of the subsequent cells. But instead of that, if you click on this fill formatting only option, you can see that the numbers go back to what they originally were. The difference now being that whatever format that you had applied here now gets copied into the subsequent data in this particular column. Okay, so that's how you copy or apply the format that you've changed in one data to all of the subsequent data in your database. Okay, ideally you want to have consistency in data. So you cannot have some, just like how it is right now, you cannot have some elements of this data in numeric format and some in general format. That looks very odd, right? So you need to have consistency. So ideally, once you've changed the format of a number, then you can immediately apply it to all the data in your database using the method I've just shown. Okay, so that's how you do number formatting. Okay, now the next kind of formatting that you have, an important formatting that you guys need to be aware of is the date format. Okay, so with dates, again, we have a date here. Okay, now by default, as you can see, Excel has identified that it is a date, and the format has been by default changed to the date format. Okay, now again, with dates, you can right click and click on format cells. And by default, since Excel has realized that it's a date format, it will show you that the date customization or date category needs to be customized. And here again, you have various options, okay, in which you can change your date format. So it can either be date, month and year, or it can be date, month in text and year. So if you select here, as you can see for the data highlighted, it will show as this, okay? Or you have several options, okay, that you can check here. And then whatever applies for you, okay, you can select that and then click on OK. Okay. And the moment you see anything like this appearing on Excel, don't be panicked. Okay, it's nothing. All you have to do is adjust the width of this column so that it can encompass the data that is now there on that cell. Okay, so 1 December 2023 is too big to be encompassed in this particular cell. So all you need to do is go to that particular column, come and keep your cursor on the end line of that particular column. And you can see that this particular cross symbol will appear, and then just double click. Okay. So what happens when you do that is that Excel will automatically adjust the width of the column to encompass the data, the largest data in that data set. Okay. Now again, if you want to change the format for the subsequent data in this column, all you have to do is drag. Okay. Now you can see that the data has changed. Again, you select fill formatting only. Okay. So that's a little bit of how the numbers and dates can be changed in, can be formatted in MS Excel. Okay. Next, we will move on to fill and series in MS Excel. Now, to show you how fill and series works, let's assume that we have this SL number column here, in which you had to number all the entries here. Okay. For now, let's select all this data and delete this data off. Okay. Now you want to enter the SL number or the number of entries, the number of entries in this data. Okay. So the first option that you will have is to manually enter all the data one by one, which obviously is going to be very tiresome and cumbersome. So the option of fill and series is available for you. Okay. What fill and series does is once you've entered the first few elements of a particular series, okay, then you can automatically fill the remaining elements of that series by using the fill and series option. Say, for example, I now want to number up till the 20th entry. Okay. So what I can do is I can select all this data. Okay. Now, like you can see by default, the data has been copied. You come here to the this box that has appeared when you've copied the data, which is the shortcut for the fill and series tab. And then you can see that the option of fill series is available here. Okay.
There is a technical glitch. I think Nitin is facing some issues with mm, his internet. So uh, I hope you all are enjoying the enjoying and understanding the sessions, what is going on, and basic things that we came across long back, and we are also getting a good refresher. Copy cells and fill series formatting. Many queries are coming up for the practice sessions. Can we get this Excel worksheet? So I want to let you understand these type of Excel sheet samples are available in the internet. If you really are interested in the same thing, we can also share the link with the Excel. You may continue now.
Sorry for that. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so with the fill and series, what we can do is you select that, and then instead of the copy cell option, you just click on the fill series option. And as you can see, uh, the series has been filled here by default.
Again, Nitin is having some issues with the internet. So many people are asking for the data set. So we will definitely try to share the data set with you. And many queries are coming with the certificate thing. So I request all the participants to attend the session, wonderful session that Nitin is giving us, the knowledge that giving us. Definitely, you all know there will be a participation certificate provided to you till the end of the session, those who are attending. And I wish all the participants to gain the knowledge that Nitin is sharing with the Excel sheet. And this will really help. I'm sure this will really help you all to work with in your work experience or wherever you are working with. This data sheet I am trying to share. If you have any questions or queries later when Nitin rejoins, you will be able to ask. So I'm sharing my screen with the data set. Similar data sets, if you wish, you will be able to download from the internet also.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stopping
Shanti,
screen.
just keep sharing your screen. Just keep sharing
You
your
wanna?
screen.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So with the fill and series option, what you can can see is that the data there, Shanti, on. Can you select 1 to 18?
Your voice is cracking, Nitin. Yeah, 1 to 18 units. Nitin, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just select SL number on the left. Yeah, and can you scroll down to the very end of this? Yeah, so as you can see, the data has been automatically filled, right, with SL.
Yes, we can see. Yes, we
Yeah,
can
so
see till the row number 242, the data is filled.
yeah, till 242, the data has been filled, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how fill and series works. Okay. Now, the next topic for us will be the second segment. Okay, for which I will again share my data. Just give me a second as I log in and share my data.
Should I stop screen share? Some messages are coming, Nitin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can see me, right?
Some attendees want to do the fill section.
Fill
As
again.
yeah,
Okay, let me just
autofill.
open the Excel application and share it, and we'll do fill again.
Okay. Some queries are coming based on the data set that we will be able to provide them after the session. The same data set if they are interested to practice.
Okay, sure. We can share the data set. That shouldn't be a problem.
Thank
Okay.
you, Nitin.
Let me just share my screen, and then uh, we can continue with the fill and series segment again. Shanti, can you just stream for now? Share the Excel for now. Yeah, can you just remove the SL number section?
This entire
Yeah,
row.
yeah, yeah. Enter the first two entries in yeah, and then now highlight that, and then yeah, drop it, drag it. Yeah, and now as you can see, that small box has opened, right? The moment you stop dragging.
Yes, I will demonstrate here once again. When we are selecting the cells, when we go to that bottom right corner, there is a plus sign coming. When we press down, that will be getting generated automatically with the next numbers.
Exactly. So that is how fill will work. Now, another thing that you can do here is just select the data again, Shanti. Just provide one and then provide three, one after the other.
Sure.
Yeah, then 5. Okay, and then now drag this. Okay, and now if you go to the top right hand corner of uh, the home tab, you will see that there is an option called fill and series. Can you see that?
Fill. Home tab.
Yeah. Just come to the very right end, and you can see a down arrow there. Down arrow.
Yeah.
Not that. You saw a Sigma button on top.
Mhm. Can
I'll
you
do one
try
thing,
again?
Shanti. I'll share it myself. Just give me 1 second. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So with fill and series, another thing that you can do is you can enter some data here. Okay. And then you can extend it, and then you have this fill option that is coming here. Okay, you can select that, and you can select the series option. Okay, and there you can determine what the step value of your series must be. Okay, say for example here 1 and 2, the step value or the difference between the numbers is just 1, but we can change that to whatever our liking is. Okay, and then click on this okay. Okay, so as you can see, now the series has been filled from 1 to 10 with the step value being 1, 4, 7, and with the values being 1, 4, 7, and 10. So the step value is 3. Okay, now you can also do this column wise or row wise. So you can enter 1, 4, 7, and you can select this. Okay, and again click on fill series, and here you can now by default the value is 3. You can even give 5, and you can also give a stop value here. Okay, stop value is the value at which the series must stop. So if I give stop value as 20, then you can see that the step value is 5 in the series and the stop value is 16, because the next element in this series is going to be 21. And since we gave stop value as 20, our series got over at 16. Okay. So hope the fill and series concept is clear. It's mostly when you want to do, when you want to number or create a large number of series, that this becomes very useful. Okay. Now, next we will go into alignments, themes, and styles. Okay. With alignment, themes, and styles, it is basically an option for us to select the way in which our data is themed or styled. Okay. So the option for that is available in the insert tab. Okay. Say for example, if you have selected this, okay, and sorry, the page layout tab. So if, for example, if you have selected this and you want to change the theme of this data, then you can use the theme or the theme option that you have available here. Okay, so MS Office by default has a lot of themes, and as you can see, based on how the theme that you've selected, the data that appears will change. Okay, and you also have the option of changing the color, font, and effects in the data that you've selected. Okay, so this is again for visually representing the data. So if at all you want to represent your data in a specific way, you can use the themes, fonts, and effects option that you have available here. Okay. Mostly this is uh, important or relevant when we have the data in the form of a table. Okay. So although we will be discussing tables towards the end, I'll just show you how that happens. So you can select the entire data and make this data into a table. Okay. And once this table has been made, then if you change the theme of the of your Excel data, it will become more relevant. Okay. So once the data has been changed to a table, then you can always come to themes and change the theme of your table data. Okay. And another important aspects with relating to themes and styles is also the alignment of the data. Okay. How you align the data is also very important. Okay. And the option for us to align the data is available in the home tab. And as you can see, we have all these alignment options available in this tab here. Okay. The way in which we will be aligning, will be using this align option. As you can see, the salespersons are aligned by default to the left of this cell. The text data are always aligned by default to the left, and the numeric data are always aligned by default to the right, and generic data can be aligned whichever way you want. Okay, by default Excel is going to be aligning it like this. Okay, but say if you want the sales data to be aligned towards the right of this cell, okay, then you come to this option, okay, and click on this align right. Okay, and as you can see, all the data got aligned towards the right. Okay, if you want to align it towards the center, you can also do that. Okay, and similarly, you can also change the alignment horizontally by selecting these. Okay, by default all the data is going to be bottom aligned, but if you want to center align it, you can center align it. If you want to top align it, you can top align it as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about alignment and themes and styles. Now the next section is where we will be looking at some formulas and functions. Okay, now the basic difference between a formula and a function is that a formula is something that allows you to do a particular action or operation in Excel. Okay, say for example, you want to add these two numbers. Okay, a formula can, basically the formula will be is equal to, and you select the first element, then you give the plus function, and then you select the second element and you close the bracket, and then you click on enter. Okay, so as you can see, by default, the once that formula was provided, the data is available here. Okay, but what a function does is that Excel has created some pre-built functions where these formulas you don't have to by heart it, but you can apply those functions. By default, they will on the backend use these formulas and calculate the outcome for you. Okay, the sum was a very easy one, so you don't have to, it might not be a difficult issue. But say for example, I have to add all these elements. Okay, so based on if I were to use a formula, what I would have to do is I'll have to write is equal to, then I'll have to write G1 plus G4 plus G5 plus G6 plus and so on till G21. I have to manually enter that, which is going to be a very cumbersome task. So in order to avoid that, what Excel has done is that it has created some pre-built functions which will perform these formulas for you on the backend. Okay, so for example, if you want the sum, what you need to do is you need to use the sum function. The way you use any function is by clicking on the equal to button, okay, and then writing the name of the function. In the case of sum, it's going to be SUM. Then click on the tab, and then Excel by default will give you the options or the parameters that are required inside this function. So for sum, the parameters that are required are the numbers that should be added. So what you can do is you can highlight all the numbers that should be added, okay, and then close the bracket and then click on enter. Okay, so as you can see, you didn't have to manually enter G4 plus G5 plus G6, etc., etc. You just had to use the sum function. Okay, and the easy way to remember functions or access functions is using this insert function option that you have here. Okay, you can click on that. Okay, and then by default a lot of functions that are available for you will be provided here. Okay, and also a description of what that function does and the arguments or the parameters that it requires will be provided here. Okay, so let's do one more. Let's take the count function. Okay, so what count does is it counts the number of elements that you want to check. Say, for example, if you want to see how many are these, and you can use the count function, you enter the elements and click on enter. So Excel will return the number of elements. It will count the number of elements that were there within that range and return that number to you. Okay. So we have several other formulas available. We have the month formula, which is got to do with dates. Say, for example, if you want to find the month of a particular date, it will be is equal to month of, select the month, okay, and click on enter. So you can see that it is the 12th month. Here by default, since the date format is this, it will be easy for us to see. But if it was a different format, then the month function will allow you to find the number of the month. Okay, so that's another important function. We also have average and several other functions are available for you, and you can use that or check that using the insert function option available here. Okay, now I want to introduce a particular function that is very interesting and very useful for us, which is called the if function. Okay, now what if function does is, if function will check whether a particular condition is met or not, and we can enable a return or a display of a particular aspect if the condition is true, and return another aspect if the condition is false. Okay, I'll give you a typical business scenario. So here in this case, we have the salespeople who have sold a particular product and a certain number of units for that product. Okay, now management wants to see the number of people who have sold more than 200 units of a particular product and then rate them as excellent employees, and they want to rate the remaining as average employees. Okay, so the way to do that is use what's called the if function. Okay, and how we use the if function is, you first start again with is equal to, then give if, which is the name of the function. Okay, and now we have to do the logical test. In this scenario, the logical test is to see whether this units, the number of units that has been sold, is greater than this number that we have here, J3. Okay, and if it is true, if the test is true, then what do you want to return? We want to return that the employee is an excellent employee. Okay, so we will write excellent, and if it is not true, then we want to return that that employee is just average. Okay, and then we close the bracket. See, now he's been rated as average. Okay, now the moment you change this from 200 to, let's say, 100, you can see that this also got changed to excellent. Okay, this is because the condition was based on the number that you have here. Okay, so my suggestion will be never to hard code any conditions in your if function. Always have the number provided in another cell. Okay, or the criteria that you want to do for comparison, insert that in another cell and then do the comparison. So here the comparison was between G4 and J3. Okay, and they saw that G4 is now greater than J3, 114 is greater than 100, and they returned excellent. Okay, so and if we change this, it will become average. Okay, so that's a little bit about the if function. So we can use if function in this way, and there are a variety of complex ways in which if function can be used as well. Okay, now let's also look at some text functions. One important text function that I want to introduce to you are text functions are basically functions that are used on text-based data. Okay, so for example, we have USA here, or we have the product name here. Okay, one important text function will be something called as concat. Okay, this concatenates the text, okay, the parameters that you're giving here, and makes that into a single element. Okay, this becomes especially useful if, let's say, in this case, the first person's and the salesperson name is given as full name here. Okay, in some data it will be given as first name and last name. So maybe there is a business requirement where you want the full name. Okay, in such cases, what you can always do is you can concatenate the first name and last name, and you can even have a space given like so. And there will be a space calculated between it. Okay, or you can see, now there is a space between USA and choker coated almonds. Okay, or you can even have an ampersand sign inserted into it. Okay, whatever hard coding you're doing, please remember to always put it within double quotes. And you can see that USA and choco coated almonds have appeared here. Okay, so in this way you can concatenate the data, or if you want to find the length of this particular data, you can use a function called is equal to len. Okay, and then you can provide the text here and then click on enter, and it will calculate the total number of letters including space in that particular text. Okay, so that's a little bit about the if function and the text-based function. Finally, let's go into the last segment of our session, which is to do with filtering, sorting, conditional formatting, tables and charts. Okay, now with filtering allows you to filter a particular type of data out of this database. Say, for example, I want to filter only that information where the geography is USA. So I select that column, and then I go to the data tab, and I have an option here called filter. Okay, the moment I click on filter, what happens is that a drop down appears here. I click here and then unclick the select all option, and now this allows me to basically select the geography for which I want the data to be seen. Okay, say for example, I want the data of only USA to be available. So I can filter the data, and now you can see that only the data related to USA are available here. And the moment you want to remove the filter that you applied, you can click on this clear button that you see here. Okay, so then the data moves back to the default data. Okay, so that's filter, and you can have multiple filters as well. You can filter on geography, and let's say we can apply a filter on product as well. Okay, you can have this and this together. Okay, so both categories are possible. So if you want, first select only USA and then only almond choco, you can see the entries here as well. Okay, so that way you can have multiple levels of filtering. Okay, that's how filtering works. It's a very important function in Excel. Now the next one is related to sorting the data. Okay, now with sorting, what you can do is we can always sort the data based on a particular condition. Okay, so how you use sort is, again, you select the column and then click on this sort option. Okay, so then what will happen is that this pop-up will be available. Now here you need to select the column based on which the sorting should happen, and whether the sorting should happen based on the cell value and what should be the order in which the sorting must happen. So in this case, by default, the sorting must happen from A to Z. Okay. So the alphabet A will come first and Z will come last. Okay. Now, if you click on OK, you can see that all the data related to Australia has come first, followed by Canada and so on. Okay. Now, again, with sort, you can have multiple levels or layers of sorting, for which you can go to the home tab, or you can select the sort option or custom sort option, and then you can add one more level into it. Okay. So first the sorting will happen based on the geography. Then we can have the sorting happening based on, let's say, some other criteria. Okay. This is geography. Okay, so first sorting happened based on Australia. Then we can add another level where sorting is happening based on the product. Okay, so that way, let's select this. Now add another level. Now all the other available columns are also there. So let's take column D, which is the product column. Okay, or the amount column we will take, column E, and we'll put it as smallest to largest. So again, you can see that all the data from the smallest in column E to the largest has been done. So first sorting will happen on column C, then sorting will happen on column E. Okay, so this way you can have multiple sorting elements included in the same data. Okay, so not just one element, but multiple elements, just like how we did right now. First, the sorting can happen based on the geography. Then the sorting can happen based on the amount or month, whichever order you want to do it. Okay, so that's a little bit about filtering and sorting. Next, we look at what is called as conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting allows you to format the data based on a particular condition. Okay, how to do that is you select this data that you have here, click on this option called conditional formatting. Okay, that is present in the home tab, and then the conditional formatting allows you to format the data based on a particular condition. Okay, say for example, right now, if you want the formatting to happen based on the value, let's say if you want all the data more than 200 to be highlighted, you can give that as an option. So as you can see, all the data more than 200 have been highlighted. Okay, so similarly, we can apply condition formatting. If you want to check the top 10 items, you can do that. Okay, so what happens is that the top 10 items in this, in terms of value in this, will be highlighted. Okay, or if you also want the top 10 percentage, any criteria or condition you can apply. Okay, or you can even create a new rule. Okay, and say for example, in this scenario, if you want the data to be highlighted where the condition is that it contains a particular value. Okay, it contains, let's say, this particular cell here, the amount cell. Okay, we want to format those cells where itself contains between a particular value. Okay, between 1000 and 5000, for example. Okay, then we can provide that value, and we can also select the format in which that value needs to be highlighted, and then click on OK. What will happen is that whatever meets that criteria, that will be highlighted. Say for example, if you are again selecting the units, we are creating the rule that if it's between 100 and 200, okay, and the format is that you should fill it with a light green color, you click on OK, you can see that all the elements between 100 and 200 have been highlighted with this green color. Okay, so that's conditional formatting for you. Okay, now let's go on to tables and charts, which will be the last section of our session. With tables and charts, table is a way in which you are representing the data. Okay, here the data has been just provided in this fashion, but it is always suggested that we convert this into a table. And how to convert this to a table is click on any cell in this data range. Okay, click on Control A, which selects the entire data, and then go to the Insert tab and click on Table. Then a pop-up by default will appear. Whether what you're selected is correct, you just click on OK, and this will also be selected by default. My table has headers. So click on OK. And as you can see, the data has been converted into a table, and a table design tab has also appeared by default here. Okay. Now, the advantage of converting the data into a table is that, first of all, it's very readable. You can see the formatting. And also, once you scroll down, you can see that the column names are still present for you, which is not the case if it's not a table. Okay. And one of the biggest advantages of having a table is that at the very end of your data, you can have what is called a total row. So this total row allows you to calculate a lot of aspects with about this data by default. Okay, whether it's count, okay, you have 239, or whether it's let's say we need to find the sum or average. Okay, so what is the average amount that is sales amount? Okay, all of that is possible using this total row, which you can highlight here or select here. Okay. And apart from that, the biggest advantage is that this data becomes very readable. So it's always recommended that you convert your data into a table. Okay. So that's a little bit about table. And the last thing that I want to discuss with you in this session is about charts. Okay. Now, charts are a way of visually representing the data that we have in Excel. Okay. So all this data is represented in the form of a database. Okay. But charts allow us to convert this data, make this data more visually appealing. Okay. So that is the whole concept of chart. Okay. Again, how you want to select a chart is you can again select all of this and then go to insert, and you have a lot of recommended charts that are available for you. Okay. The moment you click on a recommended chart, you can see that Excel by default will give you a lot of recommendations in terms of the charts that you can have. Okay. And if you click on the OK button, you will see that a chart will by default get created in another worksheet of this workbook. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is the default chart that Excel has suggested based on the data that is available, where it has calculated the total amount of sales that has been done by each salesperson, and it has collated it into a chart. Okay. And we can easily change the elements in this chart. Say, for example, you don't want it based on salesperson, but you want it based on geography, then you can have that. Okay. Or if you don't want the amount to be shown, but rather you want the units to be shown, you can have that. Okay. All you need to do is select what should be the x-axis and y-axis of this chart, and then basically play around with it. Okay. And you can also do some formatting in terms of the style, the color of the chart, and so on. Okay. And you can also change various elements. Okay. Or if you want to select some particular geographies and want to create the chart, that can also be done. Okay. Or if you want to create, instead of sum, you want to create something else, that can also be done. So it totally depends on what you want to do. And it always also needn't be a bar chart. It can also be other forms of charts as well. Okay. So that's a little bit about charts. So how you select a chart is you select the table, okay, which has the data, go to insert, and then you have all these options. You have pie charts, you have line charts, you have bar charts, histograms, all of that is available for you. Okay. So then it depends totally on you as to what elements you want to include in that chart. And this visually represents the data that you have. Okay. So the whole idea of having a chart is that instead of looking at this whole data and trying to figure out what's happening, a chart very clearly shows you that, New Zealand is where the highest amount of sales is happening. Okay. Or sorry, Australia is the geography where uh, the lowest amount of sales is happening. So all of that information you can very easily and visually represent, especially when you're trying to communicate the data in your database to a third person. Okay, so charts become very useful in doing that. Or who was the salesperson who did the maximum number of highest units of sales, it is easily visible through this chart. Okay, so that's a little bit about charts and its significance. So I think we have covered almost all of what we wanted to cover. We have exceeded the time a little bit, but I hope what was discussed is clear. Now, Shanti, if we have any questions, we can take a few maybe, because I think we have already exceeded.
Thank you so much for that wonderful and detailed session on Microsoft Excel, Nitin. And it was a great understanding. From the beginning, you started with menus and all the ribbons. Further, you took it with the features of all that. Then the autofill function, auto formatting function that you, autofill function that you showed was wonderful. Functions always start with equal to symbol and then drop down list comes. Everything was like very much interesting to follow you. And by explaining the if condition somewhere or the other, I was thinking many of our learners were able to understand that programming can be done even in Excel, not only in any programming language. By when you were explaining if conditions and one example, many queries were coming to show more examples on the same. So due to the time limit that we have already exceeded with the time given to us, consider for next sessions, requests are coming to consider for 2 hour session, because everyone was enjoying your session and understanding very well. And of course, filtering and sorting is very important for our learners to understand, our participants to understand. These features are also available in Excel. And a few more query requests were coming to replay the data conversion into the table. So again, I'm requesting everyone to watch the recorded video, which is available on YouTube, for that more understanding. And I'm definitely expecting one more detailed session, Nitin, for further pivot table and everything. Regarding the questions, not much questions were there. Many questions were coming with the certificate thing. So as we always used to repeat, you will be given with a participation certificate who are attending till the end of the session. Definitely that will be provided to you in your registered email IDs. One query was coming, will another financial planning for young professional webinar be held for my friends who are interested? So if you want to take up that question, Nitin.
Yeah, we can definitely have a session on that. We'll plan an advanced Excel session and a section on financial planning as well.
One query was coming, it was very easy, understandable. Is it possible to print a page from Microsoft Excel?
Yeah, you can use the file and you can use the print option. You can definitely print data from Excel.
So one last thing that repeatedly they were asking about the data set that you are using, if you can share that with our participants. So I am thanking each and every participant, altogether 2,400 participants were there today for the webinar. So I am thanking each one of you to join the webinar, for attending the session till the end of the session. So I request you all to visit our website www.uniathena.com For the related courses, short courses also available with us regarding Excel. Stay tuned with us for the next upcoming sessions. Thank you all for joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Should we leave? Thank you all for all for joining the session. It was a wonderful session. Attending 2,400 people participating and encouraging us to have more sessions like this. Thank you all. Yes, definitely the certificates will be provided in your registered email IDs, which is free of cost. Thank you. Vishal, are you there?
Hello.
You can close the recording.
Yeah,
Please close the.
I'm not the host. I guess Sneha is the host.
Neha.
Sneha.
Thank you all the participants for being there till the end of the session. We planned this session only for an hour, even though we got extended with the topics. Thanking you all for being there till the end of the session. We will be coming up with more sessions, more informative sessions like this.
Good to do that.